Do you ever feel like your brain goes into overdrive the moment your head hits the pillow? You're exhausted all day long, but then the minute your head hits the pillow, it's like your brain's throwing a party. This isn't just bad luck or being a night owl. There's actual science behind why your sleep feels broken. Over the next 4 weeks, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it using the #1 proven method to treat chronic insomnia. A lot of people pay thousands of dollars for programs like this, but I want to show you how to do it because I feel like sleep is the most important thing, even more important than food. People have gone over a year without food, but try to go more than a few days without sleep, and it's not going to go well. So this is a lot different than going to a doctor or a psychologist or taking medication to help you fall asleep. You're going to learn about what regulates your sleep so that you can make the necessary adjustments to end the unhelpful thoughts or habits that are affecting your sleep quality. You're going to learn how to fall asleep faster, reduce extended periods of being awake in the middle of the night, minimize waking up early in the morning, and vastly improve your sleep quality, which is going to improve the quality of your whole life. By the end of this video, you're going to know 3 invisible forces that control your sleep and 1 sneaky habit that might be wrecking your nights without you even knowing it. So if you're having trouble sleeping, this could change your life. So what is insomnia really? This is designed for those of you that have had this problem for a long time. If these are just random occurrences that happen every once in a while, there are other techniques you can use to take care of those problems. I'm talking about people that have chronic insomnia. Insomnia is not just having trouble sleeping every once in a while. It's insomnia when it happens at least 3 times a week for at least 3 months in a row. You might have trouble falling asleep, which is called sleep onset insomnia. You might be waking up a lot during the night, which is called sleep maintenance insomnia. Or you might wake up at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning and just stare at the ceiling until the sun comes up. This is called late insomnia. And this doesn't just affect the night times either. It can wreck your energy, your mood, your focus, and even cause anxiety during the day. And the more you try to force yourself to sleep, the harder it is. It's like trying to catch a feather with a baseball glove. Your brain has started thinking that your bed is like a battlefield. It learns to associate your bed with stress and not sleep. This was called conditioned insomnia, but there is a solution for it. But sometimes even if you've had a chill, relaxing evening, as soon as that head hits the pillow, your brain goes, oh, it's time to panic. I'm going to show you how to retrain your brain for this later in the series. But first, let's talk about what's keeping this cycle spinning. Insomnia isn't just one thing. It's a vicious triangle of thoughts, behaviors, and feelings. It's like a bad group chat that you can't mute. One thing you might be thinking about, consciously or subconsciously, is, oh man, if I don't get some sleep, it's going to ruin my day tomorrow. That leads to anxiety, tension, and dread. So you lay in your bed wide awake, maybe scrolling TikTok, maybe just thinking about why you need to go to sleep and how you can make it happen. And now your body's wired, it's stressed out. And your sleep drive, which is your natural hunger for sleep, goes right out the window. So what we're going to be doing in this program is breaking the cycle one thing at a time. Now, if you only take one thing away from this week, let it be this. Sleep isn't just about being tired, it's being controlled by 3 powerful forces. The first force is your sleep drive, which is your sleep appetite. It kind of builds up all day long. And if you're used to taking naps, that's kind of like snacking right before dinner. It's going to ruin your appetite. The longer you stay awake, the stronger it should get. So the first tip is not to take any naps. Be active. Stretch that sleep drive out. This is going to be essential for retraining your mind and your body to naturally get ready for the second powerful force. The second powerful force that controls your sleep is your circadian rhythm. That's your internal clock. One way to reset that if it's gotten messed up is to step outside first thing in the morning and get some natural sunlight in your eyes. Now don't stare at the sun or anything, but your body is tuned into that. And by getting that light first thing in the morning in your eyes, your body can start resetting that internal clock. You can also mess it up by staring at screens too late. The blue light is not good for sleep or your circadian rhythm. Another tip is to wake up at the same time every day. Yes, even on weekends. I know a lot of people like to sleep in on the weekends, but this is not doing your sleep any good. If you've ever flown across the country, you know about jet lag. And basically sleeping in on the weekends acts just like jet lag in the body. Sometimes it can take you days and sometimes even up to a week or longer to get your body working right again. Your body wants to be on a schedule. It doesn't want to be flip-flopped around. It just functions the best when it's in order and on a schedule. By keeping your timing and your natural circadian rhythm on track, your sleep quality is definitely going to improve. The third thing that controls your sleep is called arousal. And it's probably not what you're thinking about. It's your brain's own switch. You're worrying, your thoughts are racing, you're overthinking. Even trying too hard to fall asleep causes arousal. One way to kind of reset this is if you're laying in bed and you can't go to sleep, get up, go do something calming in another room. Your bed should be for two things, sleep and sex. That's it. Get up, go do something, and then when you get sleepy, go back to bed. This is the first part of retraining your brain. Next week, I'm going to show you how to dial down the noise in your brain a little bit so you can actually relax into sleep. But for now, let's go over an action plan for week 1. You need to do this every night. This is a 4-week program. I'm going to introduce something new each week. So for week 1, I want you to write down, because there's something very powerful that happens when you actually write something instead of typing something or thinking about it. Write down your most common sleep thoughts. Write down the things that may be causing you to not be able to sleep, or the things that you think about that breaks that cycle. Write down any unhelpful bedtime behaviors that you might have, whether it's laying in your bed and swiping through TikTok or whatever, or just thinking about things too much about what you have to do for the next day. One thing that really helped me is to write down a list. Keep a piece of paper and a pen next to the bed. If you think it's something, write it down, get it out of your head. That way you won't forget about it the next day. And write down any physical things that might be happening to you, where your jaw's a little tight, maybe your body is a little tight, you're just tense, maybe your heart's racing a little. Write all that stuff down. It's going to be very helpful to you in the coming weeks. I also want you to start a sleep diary. If you wear an Oura ring or an Apple Watch or anything like that, it's probably already done for you. But you need to track what time you go to bed, what time you wake up in the morning, how long it takes you to fall asleep, and how many times you wake up, and any other things you think might be helpful. You don't have to be absolutely perfect, but just try to track it as much as possible so you can see patterns developing. I also want you to improve your sleep hygiene. Your room needs to be dark. It needs to be cool. If you want to read a book for just a little bit, that's probably okay, unless it's causing you to think too much and you can't go to sleep after reading. And no caffeine after noon. Caffeine has a half-life of 4 hours, so 12 hours later, there's still some caffeine in your body. 10 o'clock in the morning is even better, but I know for some people that's impossible, until you get your sleep right at least. Then I want you to set a time for waking up, and you need to stick to it. You may need an alarm clock to begin with, but once your body's natural circadian rhythm resets itself, you'll start waking up before the alarm clock at about the same time every day. Think of this first week as a boot camp for your sleep. These things are going to be very helpful, and we're going to build on this over the coming weeks. Insomnia does not mean your brain is broken. It means it's doing exactly what you've trained it to do. But starting today, you're going to start training it a little bit differently. You'll want to practice these previous techniques for 1 full week. Then, come back and start on the next part of the video. These techniques build on each other. So make sure you establish a strong foundation before you move on to the next part. So you're exhausted. You've been doing all the right things that you know of to do. But the harder you try to sleep, the more your brain wants to throw a party around midnight. If this is you, you're not lazy and you're not broken. You're just stuck in a sleep trap. Today, I'm going to show you how to escape it. The method I'm going to teach you is the gold standard for reversing chronic insomnia. So by the end of this video, you're going to know the #1 fix that sleep scientists swear by, plus the 5-step method to completely retrain your brain for sleep. After that, you'll be able to trust bedtime again. So most people think that sleep fixes come from apps that you could download or medications. But this is completely different. This teaches you how to work with your body's natural sleep system and not against it. You're going to learn to fall asleep faster, stop staying awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, wake up less, and improve the quality of your sleep. It's evidence-based, it's clinically tested, and it's just as good learning it from me right here on YouTube as it is going to a clinic face-to-face. Just think of this series as a boot camp for your sleep brain. So with a lot of things in life, what you put in is what you get out. Well, sleep is not like that. With sleep, it's not about trying harder. It's actually about doing less, but doing it smarter. Now, if this is the first one of my videos that you've seen, please go back and watch part 1 of this series, because this is like calculus. If you don't learn the basic addition and subtraction skills, multiplication and division are going to be real hard, and calculus is going to be impossible. Calculus is the end result that we're looking for here to totally retrain your brain. But it ain't going to be as hard as calculus, so don't worry about that. But by now, you should have written down your most common sleep thoughts. What's preventing you from getting sleep? What do you think about when you're laying down? You should know those unhelpful bedtime behaviors, and you should be conscious of the way that you're feeling when you're laying down, like the physical symptoms I talked about. You should have started your sleep diary, and you should have improved your sleep hygiene. Those things alone may have already helped you, but if not, let's get into the next part. So with sleep, there's always an elephant in the room. It's called sleep dread. People that suffer from insomnia usually feel pretty good at night until it's time for bed. Then the brain just says nope, and your thoughts start racing. You may have some of that tension like I talked about, and a lot of times you just anticipate having a bad night. Then you start to fear the bed itself. There's nothing wrong with you if you're thinking that way. That is totally normal with insomnia. It's called conditioned insomnia. You've unknowingly trained your brain to think of your bed as a trigger for anxiety instead of restful sleep. But we're going to reverse that with something called stimulus control. So stimulus control is actually sleep rewiring, and here's the 5-part formula. Part 1, your bed is for 2 things, sleep and sex. That's it, nothing else. No phones, no work. Don't even watch my YouTube videos in bed. Do that before you go to bed. Your brain needs to associate your bed with sleep, period. You've got to reset your brain to thinking this way. You need at least 1 hour and preferably 2 of no screens before you go to bed. And at night, once it gets dark, I have my phone trained to go into a red light mode. Red light kind of mimics the sunset. It lets your body know it's time to start winding down, where blue light is like daylight. Your body needs to be awake, it needs to be active, it wants to be doing things like we talked about earlier, the circadian rhythm. Your body takes this light and decides what time of day it is to help you wind down or wake up. And let me know if you want me to show you how to turn the red light on your phone so that it doesn't constantly keep you awake. Reading is sometimes okay as long as it's a relaxing book, but if you're in the middle of an adventure novel, you're just gonna stay awake. So don't choose something that's too overstimulating or you might not be able to go to sleep. Number 2, you've got to wake up at the exact same time every day. Whether it's the weekends like I talked about the first week, it doesn't matter. Even if you only slept 2 hours, you got to get up. This builds a long-term sleep drive. And if you only got 2 hours, you have to get up at the same time and go through your whole day. That's the start of the retraining process. I guarantee you're going to get some good sleep that night. And that may be all you need to reset the sleep drive to begin with. The 3rd rule, you only go to bed when you're sleepy. You need to be tired. You need to be like nodding off, like when you're sitting in a chair with Netflix on or whatever, and all of a sudden your eyes are like this. You need to be sleepy. You need to be tired. Not just fatigue, and your body is going to start telling you what time you need to go to bed and what time you need to wake up. A lot of people are naturally between 7 and 8 hours of sleep, and studies have shown that less than that is not beneficial, even though a lot of people seem to function just fine. EEG testing shows they could be performing a lot better with more sleep. So make sure you're nice and tired before you hit the bed. The 4th rule, if you're awake after 20 minutes, get out of bed. Don't fight the bed. Move to another room, go to a chair, start reading a book. Don't touch the screens. Read a nice boring book. And when you get sleepy again, go back to bed. It sounds kind of weird, but believe me, this works. You're retraining your brain here and it's going to make all the difference. You don't want to try to fight this and force yourself to go to sleep. Do you remember those Chinese finger traps where you put your fingers in each end and you pull it? And the harder you pull, the harder it is to get out of there, and then you kind of relax and you're able to pull your fingers out. Sleep works the exact same way. Trying harder pulls you tighter into insomnia and you can't get out of it. Let go and that trap's going to loosen up for you. The 5th and possibly most important rule is 0 naps. Seriously. Sleep drive is your appetite for sleep. Like I told you in the previous video, napping is like snacking before dinner. It's going to kill your hunger. Save it for the main course, which is your sleep. These 5 things are definitely going to help you start building that sleep architecture and get your brain retrained to sleep. But what if you're going to bed with racing thoughts in your head? Here's how to shut them down. Have you ever noticed at night, maybe you're sitting down watching a TV show and everything's pretty calm and you're feeling pretty good, pretty tired. And then when the lights go off, you're trying to solve world hunger. Here's a powerful technique that's going to help you with that. I would suggest doing this when you turn the screens off for the last time. This is called a worry dump. And I mentioned in the first video keeping a pen and paper next to your bed. So you're going to take your pen and paper out 2 or 3 hours before bed. You've got to write down everything that's on your mind, whether it's a to-do list for the next day, things you don't want to forget, things you meant to do and forgot, things you didn't get to today. Write down every single thing that's on your mind. When your thoughts start racing later on, just say, hey, I'll see you tomorrow. You already got that down. You already know what you got to do. You don't need to think about it anymore. And writing it down does something very powerful in the brain. If you're like me, there's always stuff you don't want to forget to do the next day. And this is a helpful way to get it out of your head, onto paper, and ready to put it aside so you can get some rest. And I would definitely recommend keeping that paper and pen next to the bed, because a lot of times if you do wake up thinking of something, you get it right out of there, onto paper, out of your head, you can fall right back asleep. Another thing that's really gonna help is creating like a wind down routine at night. But look, don't pressure yourself with this. What we're doing here is setting a vibe. Sleep doesn't really work like a light switch, it's more like a dimmer. It starts in the morning, then your appetite for sleep starts building, your circadian rhythms flowing right, you've had your last meal of the day, you've turned the screens off, and now you're winding down. You want to give your brain a ramp to kind of settle into, not a cliff to fall off of. Some things you could do to wind down at night is maybe some light stretching, a light yoga routine, journaling or writing if you like to do that, reading like I talked about. Dim your lights. Don't have bright lights in the bedroom. Have like a red spectrum bulb. Doesn't have to be like a super red light where everything in the room looks red, but you don't want cool white bulbs in there. You want a warm bulb in your bedroom. Another thing that might help is a hot bath or a hot shower, maybe about an hour before you go to bed. Your body likes to be cool when it goes to bed, and warming yourself up like that, your body's going to come in to lower your core temperature. That's going to help you sleep. Make sure that bedroom is nice and cold like I talked about in the first video. But look, don't turn this into a checklist. We're not like Harry Potter here trying to put together all these steps to throw in a pot and make some kind of potion. All we're doing here is setting a vibe. So whatever you like, whatever makes you feel calm. You may want to do some aromatherapy, maybe throw some lavender in the room. All these things that feel good but help you relax. Think about going to a spa and how they set the mood there. That's what you want to help you wind down and relax. So this week I want you to continue on what you're doing in the first week. Continue being conscious of the things that you're thinking about at night, how your body feels at night. Implement some of those 5 stimulus controls I talked about. At least 2 or 3 to start with. These are really going to help. Make sure you schedule your time to dump all those things out onto paper before you try to wind down. And once you try to wind down, start that routine. Get the lights dim. Put on some light music. Maybe the aromatherapy. Whatever makes you feel good to wind down towards bed. Avoid napping at all costs. That's one of the biggest things that's going to mess up your sleep at night, and there's no way to fix it until you stop that. Make sure you keep up with that sleep diary and exactly what's going on, because that's going to be helpful in the next couple weeks. We're not fixing our sleep by force here. What we're doing is creating the conditions, retraining the brain to let it happen naturally. That's the real power. Next week, we're diving even deeper into this. There's going to be some powerful techniques, but you need to have the first 2 weeks set and a part of your routine before we move on. Remember, you can't do calculus if you can't do basic addition and subtraction. We're going to totally flip your nighttime thoughts, the unhelpful beliefs and stories that hijack your brain. I'm going to teach you how to rewrite them and break this insomnia cycle for good. Let me know if you've ever tried to force yourself to sleep and how that worked out. That 5-step framework is the #1 thing that sleep scientists swear by. But don't worry, next week, we're going even deeper than that. That's the foundation. Next week we're building. And let me know which one of those 5 steps you're going to start with first to help you totally change your sleep architecture. You'll want to practice these previous techniques for 1 full week. Then come back and start on the next part of the video. These techniques build on each other. So make sure you establish a strong foundation before you move on to the next part. So you're still not sleeping, even after winding down, no caffeine after noon, setting the right sleep environment, relaxing before bed, and doing the brain dump we talked about. What if the real problem is the clock itself? In week 3 of this series, I'm going to flip around everything that you've been told about sleep. We're going to dive into how to teach your brain to fall asleep faster by spending less time in bed, not more. So if you think you've gotten everything perfect so far, but you're still not sleeping, this is going to be an eye-opener. And make sure you watch till the end, because I'm going to show you a simple breathing technique that I use when my mind just won't shut up at night. It's powerful, it works, and we'll get into it right after this. So if you're laying in bed for 8 or 9 hours but only sleeping 5 or 6, you're training your brain to associate your bed with plain frustration. It's like being on a diet. If you eat all day long, you're never hungry for a real hearty meal. Sleep works the same. The more time you spend in bed, the weaker your sleep drive is, and the more fragmented your sleep can become. If you haven't watched the first 2 weeks of this series, I'm going to put a playlist right up here that you can click on, or down in the description, because this builds on the knowledge gained in the previous 2 weeks. Make sure you check those out before you watch this video. So hopefully you've been keeping your sleep diary, because it's very important for this part. You should know how long you actually spend in bed now, how long you're actually sleeping, how long you get up during the night. So I want you to take your average time in bed over the last 2 weeks and your total sleep time over the past few weeks. Take your total sleep time, so say you were in bed for 8 hours and you slept for 6. Take the 6 hours and divide it by 8. So your sleep efficiency would be 0.75 or 75%. So this is where it gets really interesting. If your sleep efficiency is less than 85%, that's when you need to implement this next piece of the puzzle. It's called time in bed restriction therapy. And don't worry, this restriction is only temporary. This is going to retrain your brain like I've talked about. So this is how it works. You're going to take your average sleep time over the last 2 weeks, and let's just say, for example, it's the 6 hours. Add 30 minutes to that time, and that's the amount of time that you're going to stay in bed. This is your prescription. If your average sleep time is 6 hours, your sleep prescription time is 6.5 hours. Next, you're going to choose a wake-up time. Make sure that that time is doable even on the weekends. We've got to reset your circadian rhythms and reset your body to be able to sleep again. Once you've got that number, you're going to subtract your time in bed time from that to determine your bedtime. So for example, if you choose to wake up at 7 o'clock, your time in bed's the 6.5 hours, your bedtime would be 12:30 a.m. Sounds late, but stick with me here. After a week, take a look at your average sleep efficiency, which is the number we calculated earlier, to see if it's over 85%. If it is over 85%, move your bedtime back 1 hour. Keep your wake-up time the same time. Keep that time for a week, take a look at it again. Keep repeating that, and if your average sleep efficiency falls below the 85%, reduce your time in bed again by 15 minutes to start with, and 30 if that doesn't work. This will help you find your ideal sleep window. So yeah, this might mean staying up later than you think you want to, but it works. It helps rebuild sleep pressure and tightens up your sleep cycles. Listen, I know it sounds intense, but remember, it's just temporary. Now I'm going to show you how to handle the anxiety and the pressure that comes as soon as your head hits that pillow. So the real insomnia monster is not just your body that won't sleep. It's your mind that just won't shut up. I mean, here's some common thoughts that I had that I know you may be having too. What if I don't fall asleep at all? I'm going to be a wreck tomorrow. If I don't get some sleep now, my whole day is going to be ruined. My night's already ruined. What am I going to do now? And that way of thinking takes something that's not easy to fix, but is fixable, and turns it into an absolute disaster and catastrophe. You've got to challenge those thoughts. This is called the 3C method, and it's going to be powerful in learning to reset your sleep. The first C is catch the thought. What am I telling myself right now? How is this serving me or making the situation any better? And you'll find a lot of times it's not. Write that down. Remember, dump that out of your mind. The second C is challenge it. Is this really true? Has this ever happened to me before? What would I tell somebody else about this? So for example, if your thought is, my day's gonna be ruined tomorrow. If you've got true insomnia, you've probably felt this many, many times, and you've gone through it many, many times. Has your day been absolutely ruined to where you couldn't continue ever? You may have been sleepy, but you could use that to your benefit in the long run. So if you catch that thought and then you challenge it, then you need to change it. Change your thinking with this one thought. Even if I don't sleep well, I've gotten through days like this before. It's happened before. I'm going to deal with it. Remember me saying this. When you lay down, if you start having those thoughts, 3 C's. Catch it, challenge it, change it. Reset your brain. You can absolutely do this. And if you think about it in that context of how many times this has happened to you before, you can begin to flip that switch and change those thoughts. And I know you've had some racing thoughts. I have that sometimes myself. And not every thought can be challenged. Sometimes you just have noise in your brain. If you've watched my meditation video, that really helps with that on a daily basis. I'll link that video up there and down in the description too. That practice alone has changed my life. Not only does it help you see thoughts and let them go, but it also lowers stress and anxiety in your daily life. And you may think it's some kind of woo-woo thing or new age or whatever the case may be, but I'm going to tell you, it absolutely works. And it has nothing to do with religion or anything like that. All major religions have used this in one form or another. So people from all faiths have come together to do this, including myself. But when there's a thought that comes up that you think you can't challenge, the goal is not to fight with it, just disengage from it altogether. Thoughts are like trains. You don't have to board every single train. I know there's going to be really important things that come up. Please try to write them down and get them out of your head. But life happens and sometimes things come up. Just try your best. Instead of trying to jump on every train that comes, stay on the platform. Watch the thought, name it, challenge it, and let it go. Now this technique has really helped me when I get in bed and my thoughts are kind of spiraling out of control, to really help quiet that down. As I said, you can use meditation, absolutely. You may even fall asleep while you're doing it. But if you don't, this simple breathing technique is going to help you take those thoughts, let them go right by, and calm yourself down. This is called the 4-2-6 method, and I'm going to demonstrate. Just remember those numbers, 4, 2, 6. The first thing you're going to do is inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. And when you inhale, try to put your hand on your stomach and make sure that your stomach rises. That's the deep diaphragm breathing that we're looking for. Once you've taken in that breath, hold it for 2 seconds. And then you're going to exhale out through your mouth for 6 seconds. You're going to keep repeating this for 2 or 3 minutes until you're nice and calm and fall right into sleep. I'm going to demonstrate it, but the reason this works so well, that long 6-second exhale tells your body that, hey, I'm not in danger anymore. Everything's good. Remember, our DNA is wired from generations and generations ago when people had to run from tigers. Think about how the breathing was. If you can consciously control your breath, you can unconsciously let those thoughts go. So let me demonstrate it for you a couple times. And yes, if you're breathing deeply enough, you do want to make sure you hear your breath going in and coming out. I almost fell asleep right there, so I'm telling you, this stuff works. Remember, 4, 2, 6. And look, if you want to see a different video on some different breathwork techniques, let me know. I'd love to do something like that in the future to show you a lot of different techniques for different situations. So this has gotten a little deeper than what we've gotten into before, but I think this is going to be really powerful if you do it. Here's the plan. Number 1, begin that time in bed restriction. Number 2, keep tracking your sleep efficiency. 3, challenge those thoughts that may arise. Hopefully they don't. Just the things we've talked about in the previous videos may have been enough to where those thoughts don't come in anymore because you're nice and relaxed, you've got the right temperature, and your mindset is changing. If you do still have trouble, 4, 2, 6. I'm telling you, that can be life-changing. If those thoughts do happen to come, put a label on them and let them go. Focus on that breathing. That's going to calm you down naturally. Your body knows how to react to that. Make sure you keep filling out your sleep diary the way we've talked about. That's going to be very, very important for the next week. Look, if your sleep feels broken, that's okay. The first 2 weeks are just training for what we're building on this week and finishing up on the next week. This week is where the shift really starts. You're going to start physical training that's going to help you to sleep. Less time in bed, more structure, and less mental noise. You've already got the foundation and the groundwork set up from what we talked about in the first 2 weeks. Next week, I'm pulling everything together, adding a few different techniques that are really going to supercharge your efforts and get you out of that insomnia cycle. I'm also going to show you a trick for tackling the exact thought that keeps you from getting out of bed on time in the morning. That's what turns this into a lifetime habit and not a short-term fix. If you've been having any thoughts at 3 o'clock in the morning, let me know what they are and what you're going to replace them with this week. You'll want to practice these previous techniques for 1 full week. Then come back and start on the next part of the video. These techniques build on each other. So make sure you establish a strong foundation before you move on to the next part. You've tried staying up later. You've trained your brain to start panicking about being able to go to sleep. You've cut your caffeine. You've stopped scrolling. Maybe you're using some red lights on your phone like I talked about. You've cut out naps and everything seems perfect, but you're still waking up in the middle of the night, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning. You're not alone and you're not doing anything wrong. This is the final week in my sleep series. I'm gonna pull everything together in this video because now it's time to tweak things, master things, and sustain the things that work for you. I'm gonna show you how to refine your sleep window, build momentum into your mornings, and use a powerful mental trick for calming down those stubborn thoughts that just won't leave you alone. This week is all about maintenance, mastery, and momentum. And at the end, I'm going to guide you through a relaxation technique that you've probably never tried. It's a powerful technique and the one that I use when my brain is too tired to think, but too wired to go to sleep. So let's pull all this together and help you get the best sleep you've ever had and cure your insomnia for good right after this. The time in bed restriction that I talked about last week, remember, where you move your time of sleep around and get up at the same time every morning, isn't a one and done strategy. It's a dial, and now we've got to start adjusting it. If you haven't seen the previous weeks, I'll put a playlist right up here for the previous week's video. These build on top of each other, and you've got to watch week 1, layer on top week 2, and finish up what we talked about on week 3. This is a 4-week process to get your sleep right. If you have been watching this and your sleep efficiency is over 85% now, try adding anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to your time in bed. If your sleep efficiency is under 85%, reduce your time in bed by 15 to 30 minutes. What we're trying to do here is tweak that sweet spot. You want enough sleep to feel functional and alert, but without long stretches of tossing and turning. And it might actually be less sleep than you thought you needed. I used to think 9 hours was my sweet spot because I would wake up in the middle of the night, stay up for 45 minutes, an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, and go back to bed. What I found is I only need about 7 hours as long as it's good quality sleep. And I might wake up in the middle of the night one time to run to the bathroom, but then I'm able to go right back to bed and fall back asleep without a problem. Definitely don't try to stay in bed if you gotta pee. It's not gonna end well. Your momentum actually starts in the morning. Have you ever woke up in the morning, and this may have been recently since you started setting an alarm to get up at exactly the same time every day. You were groggy, you looked up at the ceiling and you're like, man, I just do not want to get out of bed today. What's the point of even getting up? I can roll over and get some more sleep. That is sleep inertia, and it's real. To fight sleep inertia, you gotta have 2 things. You gotta have light and you gotta have movement. And more importantly, you gotta have a reason to get out of bed. You gotta have something that you look forward to every day. So you've got to plan an activity for first thing in the morning. For me recently, it's getting up and going to the gym. One of the best things about that is when I'm walking to the truck, I'll kind of walk around a little bit, get some of that early morning light that, like I said, will reset your circadian rhythm. Enough of that, your body is going to get used to it and get right back on track. And we're moving. And there's no better time to go to the gym if you go to the gym than when you're fasted in the morning. You're going to get the best results. So every night before you go to bed, I want you to schedule something for the next morning. It can be 5 minutes long if you want it to be. But it needs to be something that gives you either pleasure or a purpose. If you got a dog, the best thing to do is get that dog out. Walk the dog first thing in the morning. You get the early sunlight, you get the movement. Maybe you have to check your emails first thing in the morning. If that's the case, get your phone, walk outside, check through those emails. You're still getting that early morning sun, which is so important. Maybe you just want to walk around the block yourself. But make sure you find something first thing in the morning that you can do that'll bring you a little joy. Even if it's having a first cup of coffee or whatever, maybe walk outside, go down to the mailbox and back. Find some way to get that early morning light in your eyes. And it doesn't work good through a window. You need to be out there. Look, the less exciting your day looks on paper, the harder it is to get out of bed. I know this. But remember, activity creates energy. Have you ever gone to the gym, took a walk or anything like that, and you were tired when you first did it? Afterwards, you're energized. That's just how it works. I used to drag myself out of bed at 4:30, and I mean drag out of bed, so I could work out before I had to go to work in the mornings. And I'm telling you, some mornings I don't know how I even made it there. But after the workout, man, I was energized and felt great. So you just don't wait to feel motivated. You move first and the motivation will follow. Sometimes the thoughts at night that keep you up aren't irrational. They're real life problems. Bills, giving care to an aging parent, job stress, life stress, kid stress. That's where you shift from worrying to solving. Worry spins in cycles. You ever get a thought in your head and you just can't let it go no matter what? Because it keeps coming back around. It keeps coming back around. Problem solving is going to move you forward. Here's how you do it. Name the specific problem. Let's say you don't have money to pay a bill. I've been there. You got to brainstorm all the possible solutions then. Maybe I have to get a part-time job delivering pizzas to make it happen. Maybe I have to take my lawnmower, walk down the street and cut somebody's grass for them to make a little extra money. Think of all the possibilities of how you can overcome this problem. Evaluate the pros and cons of each one. So the pros are, I could make enough money working a couple nights a week to pay that bill. The con, it's going to put wear and tear on my car and cost me gas money. Then you choose one practical solution. The solution is a small bit of wear and tear on the car is worth having enough money to pay that bill. Then make a plan. Hey, I got to go to the pizza place and get a job so I can drive around and make a little money. No problem. Then you kind of review your progress. What started out as a problem now has solutions and multiple solutions. And you can feel good knowing that if the pizza gig doesn't work out, you've got other plans in mind. So the plan doesn't have to be perfect, but it gets the worry out of your head and gets you into action. And that gives your brain permission to rest. If these thoughts keep showing up after writing them down, the breath work, or any of the other techniques we've talked about, try this. And this may sound silly and you can reframe it any way you want to, but imagine that your mind is a parking garage. Each thought is a car pulling up and demanding your attention. But not every car needs a valet. Some of them ain't gonna pay for it. If they're not gonna pay, they need to go. So say, hey, that thought can wait out there in the lot. I'll come back to it tomorrow. Write it down. Remember how I told you how powerful writing things on paper is? It gets it out of your mind and onto something else. Write it down in your notebook named Tomorrow's Thoughts. Get it out of there. Done. And I know some of you may be thinking, hey, this ain't gonna work for me. I'm not gonna try it. Try it. What's it gonna hurt anything? It sounded silly to me at first, but when you actually put it into action, it takes on a completely different life. The reason it works is that it actually acknowledges a thought instead of just suppressing it. When you try to just put something out of your mind forever and just squash it, it pops right back up. It's like one of those little stress balls. You can squeeze it, get it down as tight as you want to, but then once you release it, it pops right back up. Putting it on paper gives your brain a place to store it instead of holding on to it. It's also going to reinforce the fact that nighttime is not the time for problem solving. You do that during the day and go to that wind down technique like we talked about around 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, depending on when you're going to go to bed. If you push that bedtime out to 12:30, maybe you start your wind down technique about 10:30. This thing works especially well if you try to troubleshoot all your life's problems at 2 or 3 in the morning. You're thinking about it before bed, you lay down, the thoughts keep coming. Might sound silly, but it works. Don't resist the thought. Park it in the parking lot till tomorrow. Now, if you tried the breathwork technique and that wasn't enough to kind of release those thoughts, try this. This is called a countdown body scan. What you're gonna do is lie down and close your eyes. You're gonna count down from 20 to 1, really slowly. 20, 19, don't do it out loud, do it in your mind. With each number, you're gonna move your focus to a different part of the body. So at 20, concentrate on your feet and intentionally soften and relax that part of the body. 19, move up to the calves and keep going until you're at number 1. If you get all the way to the top of your head and you're at 1, start moving back down. Start noticing the parts of your body that hold the most tension. With a lot of people, it's in the shoulders, the neck. If you're laying down, you should really be able to feel it, particularly if you're in a relaxed state from doing some of the techniques that I talked about earlier. If you get to 1 and you're still not relaxed, repeat the process. Count down from 20 to 1. Focus on a part of the body. It works best if you start at the feet and move your way up. A lot of times if you get to 1 at the top of your head, you can just let your mind drift off at that point. This technique works because it gives your brain a task rather than just concentrating on those thoughts that have been keeping you awake. It's just challenging enough to keep you busy, but it's relaxing enough to make sure you can go to sleep. There's also a possibility you could be deficient in some nutrients, and I'd be glad to talk about that in a separate video. One thing you could do is take a good multivitamin, like one from my company, Primal Nutrition. That's always a good place to start, and then maybe you need some extra magnesium, maybe you need some other things, but we can tweak that. A good multivitamin should make sure that you have most of what you need to help you get to sleep. A lot of us, especially if you're on a really restrictive diet, is deficient in a lot of vitamins and minerals because they've been stripped from the earth over the past few years of big agriculture. So replace what your body's lost. So this is your full sleep toolkit right here. I'm gonna combine all of these videos into one long video, and I'll put timestamps down so you can go to these things if you need to refresh exactly what to do. Number 1 is time in bed restriction. Number 2, stimulus control. Number 3, having a wind down technique. Number 4, sleep efficiency tracking. Number 5, thought challenging. Number 6, activity planning. 7, disengaging from thoughts. Number 8, having a structured worry time. Number 9, structured problem solving. Number 10, slow breathing. The parking lot strategy and the countdown body scan. All these things are going to help you. The biggest thing is your sleep efficiency, which I told you about last week. Get that right and then implement the rest of these techniques to help you even more. You're going to cure insomnia, and it's going to be gone forever. These things aren't one-time tricks. They're lifetime tools to use. And the key is not doing all of them perfectly. It's knowing which tool to reach for and when to reach for it. So what do you do when your sleep feels broken? You stop chasing it. Instead, you want to create the conditions where sleep can show up on its own. Even one bad night doesn't undo your progress. You may have gone months without sleeping, and now you can be your own sleep coach using these techniques. If insomnia ever creeps back, you'll know exactly what to do. Let me know how your sleep's going after this series. And if you found it helpful, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. Also, don't forget to share it with somebody who's tired of being tired. Stay healthy, get a good night's sleep, and I'll see you on the next video.